Hello guys, welcome back again. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a responsive website using only HTML and CSS. So before I start this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos. So let's start. So guys, welcome back again. So here I have created one folder, and this is my folder. I've called it responsive website. Inside this folder I have my index and my CSS, and inside the CSS folder I have style.css, and also have some bunch of images here that I'll be using to create this responsive website. So open with VS Code. Mine is already open, so let's just start with the basic HTML first, and then I'll give it a title called Codemo. Let's move this. Web design. Welcome. So let's connect our our CSS to the index page. So we'll have to link. So link style and my CSS first, because our style is inside the CSS folder. Let's say it's style.css. So now we are under the body. In this, the first thing we're going to create a header, and inside the header we'll create a div class called container. And I will also create another div and give it an ID called branding. So I'll create my first h1, and I'll say affordable, or no, let's not go with that. We'll say just say Codemo web design, and I'll also create a spam here and give it a class highlight. I need to close this close it. So next we are going to create a navigation bar. So just come here and create a nav, and inside this nav I'm going to create some unordered list, ul list, and I'll give my list, just copy this, paste it like two more, and just come here. I'll just write home, about, and service. And we'll just write index.html, service.html. So first, since we're creating the home page, I'll give it this the index.html, this list a class, and a class called current. So if we save this and refresh our browser, let's come back and open with your browser. You can see we have the Codemo web design, our home, and about and service. So next we are going to create another section, and this section I'll give a class an ID called showcase. And inside this section I will create a div class called container. Sorry. And inside this div we'll create a h1 affordable professional web design, and we will also add some paragraphs. So just go to Google and search for this. We're going to generate some dummy text that we'll be using to create this responsive website. Generate. We'll just copy this the first, and paste it here. So if we save this and refresh our browser, there it is. We have our showcase. Next we'll create another section for newsletter. Just come down below the section. We'll create another section and we'll give it an ID called newsletter. Inside this section we'll create a div class called container, and we'll create our h1 subscribe to our newsletter. Subscribe to our newsletter. Next we'll create a button. Inside this button we want to create a subscribe button, so we'll just say subscribe, and we'll give our button type. The type will be submit, and also we'll give it a class called button. Button 1, yes, button 1. So save this and refresh your browser. There you have our subscribe button. So next we'll create another section for our boxes, and this section will give it an ID called boxes. And inside this section I'll create a div class, another div class called container. Container. And I will here is where I will also create another div class, of course, for our boxes. Inside this div I will create my h3, but before I do that I want to insert an image. Images and logo.html, yes, and we don't need this alt, you can just remove it. Next I'll create h3 and I'll write HTML5 markup, and we'll also need to add some paragraphs. So just go back to your Google and copy this dummy text again. Just paste it. there. So next, what I'm going to do is just copy this because we need three more to add three more logos. So I'll just copy this from boxes. Copy this one. And I'll change this to CSS styling. And also change the logo. I'll also change this to graphic design maybe. I forgot to say CSS3. Forgot to add 3. So we'll also change this image. So there we created our first. So save this and refresh your browser. So if you refresh, there we have our 3 logos, but we need to style this one. It looks horrible, so I'll design later, not now. We need to add some styling. So let's just continue and create our footer. Just come down under this section and create a we'll create a footer. Just give it a paragraph. We'll code. So let's save this and refresh our browser. There we have our footer. So next we are going to do is create the about page, because now we don't have anything in the about page. So let's create the let's so next we'll create our about page. So let's just create a new file, and but before you start, make sure you save as about.html. So I'll change my title to also link with your CSS. So I'll create a section, a header. Let's just create our header. Inside this header, we'll create a div class called container. And inside this div, I'll create another div called branding. And I'll create my h1. Or what we can do is just copy from our index page. We'll just copy this. Just copy this one. And also I'll copy some dummy paragraphs. I'll create so we don't need paragraph actually. So next we'll create a navigation nav. Inside this nav I'll create some UL and we'll create a list. Let's just copy the one we have in our index page because it's the same. But we're going to change this class. We not have a class here because now we are in about. So go to the about and list and give it a class called current. So next what I will do is create another section. In this section I want to give an ID, an ID, we'll give it an ID called newsletter. And also inside this section I'll create a div class called container, and I'll also create my h1 and say it subscribe to our newsletter. So and I'll also create a form here because we need a form. So just write the form tag. You don't need to call an action actually. An action is only used when you have an external file like PHP. So we're not using any PHP file here. So let's create some input, and the type I'll say it's a email placeholder. I want the placeholder to be like enter your email. So next I'll create a button. I'll create a button, and in the type will be, I'll give it a type submit. Submit. Also give it a class called button1. Subscribe. So we are done with creating the form. Next we'll create another section for our page, our about us, because this page is all about the about page for the website. So let's create another section, and this section I will give an ID called main. So inside this section I'll create a div class as usual, container, and I'll also create an article, and I'll give a class an ID, maybe an ID because just one in case, call it main. Next what I will create is some h1. I'll create my h1 and I'll give this h1 a class. page title. Which one will be about us? Let's see clearly. Let me just scroll up so that you can see it clear. So next we'll create some paragraphs, and this I'll just go back to this website, and I'll just copy some dummy text. Also, we are done with the article. Now let's create some. Next we'll create a side, and I'll give it an ID called sidebar. Inside this aside, I will create some div class called duck, and inside this div, I will create some, and I'll create my history about what we do. Let me just make this capital. So next, we'll just copy some dummy text again. So that is, we are done with. So next, we'll create our service page. So just go to your file and create a new file, and we'll save this file as service service.html. So just copy this. I'll just use or let's just write the basic. Then I'm going to copy this title, and I'll change this welcome, and I'll say service. And next I'll do is create a header, or we can just also copy the header. Yeah. So next we are going to create so let's change this one, because we don't need this class for list, and instead we'll come here and create a class for the service current. So we have our services page. Let's make this service, just leave it like that. So next, what I'm going to do is create another section for newsletter, but instead I'm going to the long process, I'll just copy this section. Yeah. below the header, and copy copy here. So I'm not going to change anything. This one we want it like that. So next, what I will do is create another section, and just do here, and I'll say section. I'll give it an ID main, and inside this I'll create another div class called container, and also I will create an article. I want to give this article an ID, and main call. So inside this article we are going to write our h1 and call it and give it a class called page title. I'll just write my h1 services, and next what I want to do is create some URLs, and I'll give this URL a class, and I mean an ID, and call services. So just come down here and write your list. So I'll create an h3, and we'll call this web design. And also create a paragraph, and make sure go back to this page and just copy this dummy text. Also this we need to add another paragraph, and we'll say pricing, maybe from 250 for web design, $250 per month. So just copy this, we'll just change this one, say website hosting. Next I'll change this one, and or let's just say this website hosting, and no, let's just say with this website maintenance. Website maintenance. So I'll just say this one website hosting. I'll also change the pricing. It's $125 per month, and this one I'll say 250, or 250 is okay, but let's change this one to 1000 to 3000 per month. So next I need to create a site, so just come down here and we'll create a site. I'll just copy this, and paste it here. So we'll change our h3 here, and say maybe like get a quote, get a quote, and I'll say we don't need this paragraph, we'll just remove this one. I'll just close this div, and I'll just say what we need to add is another div, maybe another div, and inside this div I'll create some labels and input. And I will say name, don't need this one, and I'll just put here a thematic break, and next I will create some input. The type will be email, and I will also add some placeholder, and this placeholder I will say maybe name, sorry, name. So we're done with creating the first one. Let's just copy this and paste it like two more. So I want to change here name to email, and I also change this, the placeholder. I'll say email address. Sorry, we need to change this one to text. So next, copy another one. I'll just say here message, and the type will be inside this. I want this message to be to add a text area, so we'll just remove this input, and I'll add a text area. So we don't need all of this. We'll just remove this text area. I'll add some placeholder, say message, let's make it capital, and so we're done with creating the message and text message label. Next, we need to add some button that says submit, and I'll give it a class, button one, and I'll also add some type. Type will be submit. So, and send. So we are done creating with that. So next, all we need is to add the footer. So I'll just copy this footer. The footer remains the same, guys, okay? So let's copy this footer and add it to your service page. So next, since now we finished our service page, and let's just save and maybe reload, refresh your page, saying your file was not found. That may be some we misspelled the file name. So let's just save again and call it corrected services. Sorry, services.html. So we now save and go back to our page, refresh it. Now click the service. Now here you see, but now our page looks horrible. Now we need to style all of this. So now let's go and go to our style.css. So make sure you create your style.css inside there, and save it inside the css folder. As you can see, I have my css folder here, and I have my style.css inside the css folder. So I'll just create a body, and I'm using a font, and font 15 pixel slash 1 point, the line height 1.5, Arial, and I will also add some padding 0. Next, margin 0. I'll also add some background color. Background color. I'll say the background color to be white, not white, but yes, gray. Gray. So next, I want to create a global for all our 3 pages. So just come down here and just say global. So this for the global, and means we are going to style all our 3 pages once. Container, and give a width of 80%, and I also give a margin auto. Sorry. Margin auto, and I also add some overflow hidden. So next I'll create my UL. I'm going to style the UL, and I'll give a margin for all the ULs I'm using. I'll give it 0. I want it by default, so I'll give it 0. Next, what I need to style is the button. We have the button. I hope you noticed when we gave a class or to all our pages somewhere the button 1. I hope you remember that one. Button 1, and I'll give it a height of 38 pixel, and I'll give it a background red, should we give it when the button background E? Maybe, okay, E. Wait for give it orange, and I'll give it a border 0 by default. And I'll also add some padding left. I'll give it 20 pixel. Also add some padding right, 20 pixel also. I want it to be the same. I'll also give it a color, white. There's 6 Fs. So next I want to create is the to style is the dot duck. I want to style this class called the duck, and I'll give it a padding of 15 pixel. I'll also give a background. So I'll add also color. White. Next I'll add some margin top. I'll give it 10 pixel. So next what I will do is, and we're going to style the header for all our pages. So just add your comment. So for the header, I'll give some background to be sorry, I think I wrong somewhere. Also, we need to change this one. So next, I'll add some color. Color to be white. Next, I'll add some padding top. So we will add padding top. I'll add padding top, and maybe say 30 pixel. Let me just remove this. It keeps appearing. So next, I'll add some minimum height of maybe 70 pixel. I will add some border bottom. So I'm done with the header. Next, I'll create a header. and give it a color white. Next I'll add some text decoration. I'll say none. I will also add some text transform uppercase. Next I'll add some font size, and the font size I will give it maybe 16 pixel. So just scroll up so that you can see clearly. And next I will style is the header list. And say I'll give a float left. I will also add some display inline. Next I will also add some padding, and for the right I will give 0 and 20, 20 pixel. Next I will have to style my ID for header branding, and also header branding for H1, and I will say margin 0 for all the H1. Next I want to style my nav, and I'll give it float right. Next I will create margin top, and this margin top to be 10 pixel. I'll also create some another header. I'm going to style this one for the class highlight. For current tag, and I will give it a color. Next I want to add some font weight to this, and font weight I'll give a font weight of maybe, and I'll say bold. So we are done with all the highlight classes. Next I want to do is I want to add hover, and I'll say I'll add color white, not white actually, gray, and I'll also add some font weight bold. So we are done with the header. Now I'll go to showcase. So you remember I gave my showcase was ID. So if your ID is, I'll give it hashtag, and if it's a class, it's dot. Okay. So showcase, and I'll give a minimum height and 400 pixel. I will also add background image, showcase for my images. And I forgot to put this one. This. So we added our background and image. I'll add some text align center. I want to add color white. Next, I will create my I will style my h1 showcase h1. Just remove this one so that you can see clear. And I will add some margin top. Margin top, I will give it 100 pixel. 100 pixel. Next, I will add some font size. I will add some font size. And I'll say maybe 55 pixel. 55 pixel. I'll give it a margin bottom 10 pixel. So next I want to edit my paragraphs. Showcase for paragraphs. So I'll add some font size. I'll just add some font size to all my paragraphs. I'll say 20 pixel. So now we are done with the showcase. Next I want to edit the newsletter. I want to style the newsletter. Just remove this. So for my newsletter, I'll give my class, my ID. Newsletter, I'll give it a padding of 15 pixel. Next, I want to add some color, and I want it to be white. Next, I will add some background. So next, I want to style my newsletter for h1, and I will say maybe float to left because I want it to be left. Next, what I want to do is to style the input newsletter. Sorry, input. Let's say type. And I will say padding. I'll give a padding of 4. But before we go that, I want to. But let's just go down. I'll come back. So I'll say padding 4 pixel. I will say height of 25 pixel, and also add a width 240 pixel. So after the h1, I wanted to edit my form. I want float to be right, and I will also add some margin top 15 pixel. So just come, and next what I want to do is edit our boxes. So I'll start with the ID boxes, and I'll give it a margin top of 20 pixel. Next I want to style the boxes for the class. And give it a float to left. And I'll add some text align center. I'll just say center. Then I will also add some width of 30%. And I will also add some padding of 10 pixel. So I'm done with that one. So next I want to style for the image we have. And I'll add a width of 90 pixel. Next I want to style my sidebar. And I'll say a sidebar, and I'll give a float to right, and I'll also add some width of 30%, and I'll also add margin top 10 pixel, maybe that will fit. Next I want to say sidebar for the quote. Remember the form we created, input quote input, and I will say aside text area. I will give it a width of 90%. Next I want to add a padding of 5 pixel. So we are done with that one. Next I want to style is the main call. Just in article, I'll give a float to left. I will add a width of 65%. Next I want to style the service. I'll just say UL. We give it an ID of service. I'll say list style none. I'll also add padding. I'll add a padding of 20 pixel. I will also add some border. And I will say solid 1 pixel. Okay. Next, I want to add margin top 5 pixel. Next, I will want to add a background. So the last one we want to is to style my footer. So I want to add my, I'll say footer. I will give it a padding of maybe 20 pixel will be okay. Next, I want to add a margin top of 20 pixel. I'll also add a color white. Sorry. Next, I want to maybe add some background color. Now I'll say and I will say text align center. So if we save this and go back to our browser and refresh this, you see now it's okay. And let's just go to the home page and see. You can see our home page. It looks cool. Let's see the about page, and there we have what we do. We have our footer there, and we also have our. So next, what I want to do is, so let me just so there it is. So next, what I want to, here we have our form. Next, I want to make it this responsive. So I want to see if it can be responsive. So as you can see, it's not responsive. So I want to add some media queries. I'll just say slash media queries, and I'll say at media max width 768 pixel. Sorry, 778 pixel. And I'll just say for header branding, and also for the header nav for a newsletter. Newsletter for the form, and also say boxes. So dot, because it's a class, I'll say dot box. Next, I'll say, let me just scroll up so you can see clear. Next, I want to say the article. article name, and also for the side we give the sidebar an ID of sidebar. So for here I'll give the float none. Next what I want to do is add some text align center. I'll also add width of 100%. Let's come down here and just say maybe for the header, give the padding bottom of 20 pixel. Next I want to style my showcase so that to be responsive. H1 margin top, for the newsletter also. I'll say display block, also I'll give a width of 100%. Next, the last one I want to add is newsletter form input. Type was email. Quote input. Text area. I want it to give a width of 100% also. And 5 pixel. So go back to your browser and refresh it. Now you see it's responsive, and we go to the home page. You can see our website is now responsive. Let me just minimize this to 80 maybe. Yes. So there it is. We have our website, our responsive website. Let me just see the service. You can see, guys, it's very responsive. So that was for all for today. That was all for today. I just want to say and subscribe to my channel, and so make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos. Till next time, bye.